Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Total Service Network podcast. Today, I have a real treat for everyone, and myself included. I'm looking forward to this conversation with Jono Bull. Jono's been in the home service space for better part of 20 plus years, right, Jono? Started several businesses and had successful exits too in the window cleaning game and other industries we'll touch on. Jono's ultimately done a big full circle, and he's back in the window cleaning business, has been for quite some time now, running a successful company called Toro Window Cleaning. Jono has now taken all his experience that he's learned to date and started XPRT.COACH, where he's teaching people like me and others how to be successful in the home service space. It's a great pleasure. I welcome Jono to the call. Jono, thanks for taking the time, and I'm looking forward to having a chat with you today.
Thanks for having me, Derek.
No worries. So, how you going, first of all, and how's things up in Sydney? I see it's raining cats and dogs for the last little week or so, but...
Exactly, yeah. There's been a lot of rain and more forecast as well. So, sometimes we get these cancellations for 2 or 3 days ahead, and sometimes there's nothing you can do, but generally I just try to let everyone know, look, what if it's dry? It might be dry. Why don't we just keep a booking? And if it is impossible to do the job, then later on we'll reschedule, and at least we still get a fair bit done.
Yeah, I guess that's the game too, is just keeping the communication up so everyone understands where they sit in the whole scheme of things. Yeah, I've always I haven't been through a huge run in my business yet where it's been raining for 3 weeks straight, but I've had to have a few little reschedules. But there's something I've always wrestled with, just to change tune quickly, but is forecasting for weather and trying to mitigate against that in some way, shape, or form. Having a bank of inside jobs for those days where you can't always be outside. So it's I don't have the answer, but it's just something I always think about too.
Yeah, I mean sometimes there's just nothing you can do. But basically there's two issues. One is for you, your safety, and the other issue is for the client if they feel like the rain's going to mess up the job and it's not worth it.
That's true too. Yeah, don't clean the windows if it's going to rain and dirty water all over them the next day. Yeah, makes sense. Very good. John, I'd just like to start. Take me back as early as you think is relevant, and you got into the window cleaning game quite early, not long after finishing a high school, and something I'm always fascinated with is what has driven people to want to take that entrepreneurial jump into working for themselves. And for you, particularly at such a young age, at 18, saying, you know what, I'm going to go be my own man. And first of all, so two-part question, why window cleaning, and why did you want to do it for yourself?
Okay. Well, when I first left school, I went to year 12 and I went straight into a job with a bank. I really had no idea what I wanted to do at that point. And they put me through some admin training, and they kind of laid out the ladder of the whole company, that they wanted me to get into investments, kind of start at the bottom and climb the ladder. And I just looked ahead at that, and I just knew it was not for me. I hated the whole company environment. We worked on a project for months, and then we don't even know the reason, but they just said, no, we're not going to use that now. And that kind of unsatisfying indoor work, it's just, I knew it wasn't for me. So anyway, I quit the job and I went overseas, and I had a mate in England, and I was just going to stay with him for a few weeks. And his dad was a window cleaner and he broke his arm. So I was there and I thought, well, I guess I better help out a bit, and I ended up staying for a few more weeks, window cleaning, and got back to Australia, had no job. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to door knock, put out some flyers, buy some cheap gear and get started. I was just 18 and realized that it's pretty good. You can do this. So that's what got me started into it.
Yeah, awesome. You had a little try before you buy scenario, I guess, being overseas.
Accidentally, yeah.
It's been, nice one. Yeah, it's and I always think too, 20 years ago, there's a lot of, fast forward to today quickly, there's a lot of content around online about people, how easy it is to just get out and start a window cleaning business here, there, and everywhere. Go to Bunnings, get a cheap squidgy. Well, there was probably none of that back then. It was just all you just saying, you know what, this is what I got to do. And in order to go, we say get old school, but that's probably the best marketing tactics back then too, was door knocking and giving flyers and saying, hey, this is what I can do for you, right?
Yeah, totally. It wasn't really an industry, you could say. There was no shop for window cleaning supplies. There was a cleaning shop, and they just had some pretty crappy stuff. And so I would try to go to the shops in my local area, and I would be like $5 for the outside and just pick up one after another. And then I noticed just by being at the shops, you'd have pedestrians walking past, and a lot of the time they'd say, hey, can you give me a quote for my house? And so just that exposure was really good.
Yeah.
But then, I felt like I definitely needed more than just that. Like I had to keep on working it at this very start because I had 0 clients, and I still didn't even know how to use a ladder, and really, I was still learning to window clean. And I kind of experimented all through myself. There was no YouTube back then. This is talking about the late 90s.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it wasn't. You couldn't do the how-tos as easy as you could today.
No, not at all.
Yeah, no, good one. So let's keep going through your story a bit, Jono. And then, so you then went on to sell that business. Is that correct? And then have a little Jono time. You had a bit of a break.
Yeah, well, the travel bug got me again, and I just thought I'm doing this like some of these shops every single week, and then I just thought I'll put an ad in the paper. And someone paid me like $7,000 back in the 90s. It was great. Like that was all my budget that I needed to go to South America and Europe.
Yeah.
And I stayed with some friends and did it cheap, but I just wanted to go traveling. And then again, came to that situation. I came home and I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I'm going to window clean again.
Yeah, nice. Round 2, was there anything different in your train of thought as to starting it up again from scratch? With what you'd done round 1? Did you do anything differently, or did you get straight back to what you know of door knocking being your key sort of drivers to starting to build that business up again?
Yeah, I think I started door knocking again and just going to some of the shops. The guy that bought my old business kind of let it flop. And I think it was a 2-year agreement. So after 2 years, I could go back to those same shops and pick it up, or just walking around the streets, because it was my local area. I'd go shopping there. Yes. Yeah. And the shop owners would be like, oh, you're back. Can you do my windows? So it actually picked up pretty easily the second time.
That's good.
And also houses. I knew that there was actually more money in houses. Shops are just all kind of too small.
2-3 big windows maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the effort of them like having some kind of appointment, picking up the money, all the admin of it when you put it together, and parking is always an issue. Just getting to the site,
True.
Whereas a house, it's like maybe 2 houses in a day.
Yeah.
You park right there in the driveway.
Yeah.
I can do it.
That's a good point. Yeah. So let's keep going down the Jono Bull story. You then ultimately sold that business, your second window cleaning business, correct? Was that always your plan, or was it just circumstantial as life has it? You decide to sell again for a different opportunity, or?
Yeah. So it's actually so long ago. I can't really remember the thinking during that time, but I got married.
Oh yeah.
And I also wanted to keep traveling. And so that was again the same thing, that we both wanted to travel. And at the same time, my wife, we started kind of around early 2000, or even before that, in late 90s. We started a jewelry business together. So we figured I'll sell the window cleaning. We went traveling. We lived in South America. And meantime, we were just still running this jewelry business, just importing jewelry. We had a contact from Poland, and he had like special jewelry that's hard to find. Yeah. And people in Australia loved it. And we were importing that into Australia. And we kind of set up a network of shops, and they would just keep buying it. And even David Jones ended up
Distributor.
distributing it. And
Yeah.
then we had on the weekends, sometimes we do a market
Mm,
and just make some extra cash that way.
perfect.
So yeah, we just kind of managed that while we were away.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, when we came back from the South America trip, then we sold the jewelry business and kind of thought, then we were in Sydney for about 6 months. I was window cleaning for a company, like doing abseil window cleaning.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then after 6 months, we moved to Spain. So, because we'd already kind of started learning some Spanish from South America, and we actually moved to Spain. I started teaching English, and we were there for 4 years.
Nice.
you want
Lessons
to-
learned. No, that's great. That's great. I went to Spain, I think in 2015. I just had a few little moments of flashback, and it's a great place. Yeah, I had a great time there. Lessons. What do you think that any specific lessons learned from changing industries that ultimately helped you when you came back to window cleaning? You're in Windows, then you went into jewelry and distribution, which is kind of a different model again. Do you think there was any learnings that helped you from that period of changing course for a period of years and then coming back to window cleaning and help you take your window cleaning business to another level?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I learned a little bit about myself, and I learned that when I try to do the sales, I'm terrible. I hate it. I hate pushing people. I just like to be the guy in the background. And yeah, I enjoyed the background marketing of it and that, but I kind of learned a little bit about myself, and that I have no taste in jewelry. Like, I really cannot tell good or bad. and I guess the lesson there is to know when you need to rely on other people, because my wife, like, she's the one with the taste. She can straight away see if something's what something's worth, and what looks great and what doesn't, and I just don't have that ability.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Yeah. Well, it's always worth what someone's willing to pay for it, right? And I guess when you don't know other people's tastes, it's a bit like a wine. The wines have always fascinated in that regard, where how can one bottle be worth X amount versus the other when your taste buds tell you what your taste buds like, and who knows?
Yeah.
So, very good, mate. So sold the jewelry, went traveling, then came back again, and this started window cleaning 3.0 under the El Toro brand.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Raging Bull.
Yeah. Well, I think because my surname's Bull, El Toro, I just thought
Spain.
Yeah. So we moved back to Sydney, Manly, and I kind of started that time with a bit more dedication. I kind of knew this is what I'm going to do. I've tried a few different things. I've tried teaching. I enjoyed some of that. And actually kind of coaching now, it taps into that same satisfaction of just helping people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started 2005, but also we'd started a marketing business. So we were actually helping other businesses to do SEO and paid advertising. So just at the end of our Spain trip, I had some English mates there, and they were programming, and they taught me. They just told me, you can go and learn how to code, and you can make money from this online. And that kind of sounded really good to me, to make money online. And then when I just thought, like, I like window cleaning, I like to get outdoors, I'd already started down this path of marketing, and Google was kind of a newish. It was like most businesses and the services didn't have a website in the early 2000s. I'm talking about 2004, 2005. So it was very early days, which made it easier in a way, because you make a few changes, you can go and check it, and it's had a big impact.
True. Yes.
So yeah, we started doing that, and I kind of dug in and learned a lot about marketing. But then eventually it was like, it has to be one or the other, marketing business or window cleaning. And I know it's even like some people wonder why, but I actually like window cleaning. Like I enjoy the job of it. Like right now, I still go and do jobs, not because I have to, but because I actually like it. It's dirty. You clean it. It's satisfying.
Yeah.
End of the job.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Keeps you fit.
It does. Yeah, it certainly does. I've noticed that for sure.
Mm.
No, it's great. I guess the digital marketing or the digital space that you had some exposure to would only have helped you look at El Toro when you kicked it back up again under a different lens, and instead of always being maybe so on the offense, going out and door knocking and things like that, you took a step back and were able to key in and have a little look in the back end, which I think is just as important in any aspect these days, for sure. It's all connected, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So that was around 2005.
Yeah.
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 So now you're nearly.
It's coming up to 20 years of running that same business.
Yeah. So 20 years. Can you share with us where El Toro was, year 1 to 3 to, sort of how that business is sitting today?
So, yeah, obviously I just started my own work, doing everything like you do when you start a business, like doing the books. I was doing a lot of leaflet droplets, like dropping leaflets into all the nice houses, the expensive streets. But I think because I came back and I knew I wanted this as a business, I kind of started properly. Like straight away, I got a logo, I got some branding done, I got shirts made, I got sign writing on the car. And I straight away noticed that it really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Like in the past, I had tried, just going with a plain t-shirt and just a regular family car. And you can do the job, like that's fine. But people often will say to you stuff like, oh, if you're still in business, call me in 6 months. And it's kind of offensive. Like you're saying, if I'm still in business. But when you've got the sign writing,
you're not going to make it, mate. Yeah.
I know. It's like they don't have much confidence.
No.
So I started in a like a better headspace anyway, and noticed that it started to pick up, and word of mouth really helped. And soon enough, after about 18 months to 2 years, I needed help. And so I got a mate who I knew was window cleaning for another company, and I just dropped some hints. And eventually he's like, you know what, maybe I should work with you instead. I'm like, yeah.
Now you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's still with me now. Like he's been working with me for 17 years, I think.
Awesome.
And then gradually, one by one, like I would just get new guys because we needed it.
So how big's the team sitting today? How many guys you got?
So there's 13 guys.
Awesome.
They don't all work full time. Like some of them are just a few days a week.
Yep.
And then I've got 2 admin staff that they just share a job, and they do all the organizing, a lot of the details of the scheduling and answer the calls. So basically you need to kind of break down the business into all the different roles. And then one of the first things to get rid of was all that admin and the bookkeeping as well. Get a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And suddenly you realize, okay, you're paying a little bit of money, but the reward is you've got all this free time now. Yeah, and you don't have that. And you don't have that lagging thing of like you get home, you're tired. Oh, there's still something to do. What if I don't do that, then it's just done because it's delegated.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely resonate with that now. Where I'm as I stare at my desk with the receipts, I know I've got to scan.
Right.
Here we go. Yeah, it happens. But I guess that's all part of the process, isn't it? It's understanding when you think you need the help and where do you need the help. I certainly suffer from shiny object syndrome on some days where I've got too many things going on at once, and you're like, oh, I should be doing that. Actually, I'll go do this, or I might ring these people, and it's like, well, where do I focus? And so I understand that. But mate, congratulations to you. It's you had a big journey, a few successful exits along the way, and now things are rocking and rolling with El Toro, which is great.
Mm.
So congratulations to you and your success on that one, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. So I'd like to just change gears now to your latest venture, which is Expert Coach, spelled XPRT.COACH for those playing at home. I'll put all the links for Jono's coaching stuff in the show notes. But high level, Jono, give us a rundown on what Expert Coach is about.
Yeah, so it's basically helping window cleaners to run their business. So it isn't teaching them how to window clean. I want to come in once people know how to window clean. So possibly around from 6 months of experience, but even people that are much more experienced, but experiencing some kind of roadblock or problem with expanding, with just organizing their time, with winning jobs, and even with marketing and getting the work in the first place. So there's a lot of problems that people find that they have, and it causes a lot of stress. So basically, because I've been there and done it so much, and I'm in a great position to be able to just say, look, try, do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And the idea is to take the weight off for people in that position.
Yeah, I love it. I've been through a bunch of your content to date, mate, and so keep pushing it out. It's good stuff. I certainly pick up a few little pieces of nuggets along the way, mate. So it's good viewing. I'll put your Instagram hook in the notes too, which is where I found you in the first place, Jono.
Yeah. Okay.
There's something you talk about, which I noticed in one of your videos, which I'm hoping we could, just riff on and touch on today. You call it the 5 secrets of growth.
Yeah.
Talk us through in your words what the 5 secrets of growth are. You touch on clients, momentum, growth, automation, and team expansion. Just give us a couple of minutes on each one of those, and how they're important to let's say early stage sort of founders in their own in their business.
Yeah, sure. So I guess it's kind of like an overview of the important things about running a business, and each of these things do overlap a fair bit. But one of the first things is targeting the right clients. So there are people out there that you don't want as clients. So we kind of just need to accept that to start with. And I kind of use the analogy of when you see out on the road, there's all kinds of different cars, right? Well, there's a lot of pretty nice cars, BMWs, Mercedes. So you think, well, what's the thinking process they went through when they bought that car? Was it because it's the cheapest? No. They're thinking they want quality, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for quality. And so that's where I advise people to position their business, is they want to have the BMW business because people are willing to pay for quality, and they accept that. So that's the kind of person that you're after. And when you think about that person, when they are thinking, look, I need a job done, I need window cleaning or whatever it is, firstly, they need to find the person that can do it, that has the tools and experience and ability. The next thing they need is someone that's professional. So that's where it's the BMW. If somebody is not professional, if they've got ripped clothes, if they don't communicate well, there's something that triggers them as not professional, then it's like, this doesn't match.
Yes.
And
you can spot it a mile away these days. Unprofessionalism. You can tell a cowboy, so to say, you can spot them a mile away compared to someone who, has some branding and has a bit of professionalism behind them. Yeah.
So, and professionalism is also, it's obviously when you're dealing with them one-to-one, but it's also all the other stuff. Like they start making that decision just from looking at your Instagram, looking at your website. You pull up, they look at your car, all that kind of stuff. Like they're making decisions all the way along. And then the third thing, so ability, professional, then convenience. they might need it done this week or next week or certain time frame. And can you even do that? And then the last thing is price. And so the order is really important. And so if you show them that you can do the job and you're really professional already, they just want you, right? They're like, they might even think, you know what, I'm going to delay this party to be able to book in this guy. That sometimes they'll do that. Just kind of like, if you love this bakery, you might wait 10 minutes in the line.
Yeah.
Like, even though you don't really want to, but because everyone's there and you want to do that, you'll sacrifice your time. It's not convenient, but it's worth it. So that's why professionalism is above convenience.
I like that.
And the last thing you want is price. So this is in the mind of the customer, that's what's important to them. The last thing is really price. So that way you can have a price that they might think, oh, that's a bit higher than I was hoping, but they're so professional, I'll just do it anyway.
Yeah, I know it's going to get done right in a timely manner.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to worry about. Yeah.
Which is the same feeling that a lot of people buying a BMW might have. It's more expensive, but it's got all these features I like, good reputation. So that's kind of finding the right client. The next thing is momentum. And that's more about just setting out a lot of the groundwork for your business so that people can find you. That kind of includes branding, listing yourself wherever you can on the internet. There's a lot of, like, I'm talking about free stuff, not even paying money. Your Google Maps, and there's lots of other free listings. Just get your name out there. Because it's all about just distribution. Even Yellow Pages.
Good point.
Yeah, like just put it out there, and that way, it's all, once you've done it, then it's just there. And maybe you need to come back every now and then and update things, but that just helps with the momentum. And then when you get jobs, then you've got to continue that through that. So that kind of comes through to the next point after momentum, which is that constant growth. So you just want any customer that you get, you think of as a future customer too.
Definitely.
And so, firstly, you've got to try to impress them, do a good job, but then offer to call back in 6 months or a year or wherever it is. Try and get good feedback from them. And so in reality, I don't know, it might be something like 50% of the new jobs turn into regular jobs. So 50% might be moving away. There's other like there might just be a one-off party and they're doing the house up.
Yeah.
The other 50% should become regular. And so what you're thinking now is, okay, well, the ones that I've got a chance that will become regular, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. And in fact, you've already got the advantage because you've got a relationship now, and they know
you're in the door.
You're in the door. Yeah. So that's kind of the really important thing, is just to do everything you can and set your business up, have a good business ethic, so that then they want to call you back.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah.
So I've certainly noticed that once you're in front of once a client's made a decision to get you out to their home, I think once I'm in front of them, every time, just about every time I can get them onto some sort of recurring, or because I do not just window cleaning, I do solar panels and gutters and other external things where they might have got me out for one, and they're like, "Oh, you did a good job of that. Well, next time I need my gutters done or whatever it might be, I've got you in mind, right?" It's that relationship, I think, is everything. I just touched on it in my latest episode after I had a run of really good sort of referrals and relationships that build upon one another, quite successfully over the space of a couple of weeks. It just reminded me that I think relationships is just as high as anything when it comes to home service. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it just kind of came to mind the other day that there was an English lady, and I was just doing the windows there, and she says, "Oh, do you want a cup of tea?" And like this, like I've kind of got a document that I give to all my workers for what to do in all these situations, like if you need the toilet and so in my thing where they offer you a cup of tea, I say yes. You should say yes,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're a total stranger. And with window cleaning, you often go into every single room of their house. It's kind of pretty invasive.
It is.
Um,
Yeah, good point.
and
Good
they
point.
usually are not following you. They just kind of trust you to wander off. And then there's the security, like you're going through their windows. Like if you wanted to, you could try and leave something open. And so you just want to build this relationship, talk about your family or something, and they get to know you, they get comfortable with you. And then like 6 months later, who are they going to call for the window cleaning? That
That's
friendly
right.
guy.
Jono, who loves an English breakfast. That's right.
Totally. Yeah. No sugar and milk, thanks.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I like it. Awesome. So then, after that, you touch on automation. You know, what's some things around automation that are key that come into mind when you think about that topic?
Yeah, well, I guess it's just because technology exists that like you're really crazy if you don't use some of this automation. So it starts with your CRM or like your software to run your business in. And that usually has a lot of built-in automations from it. But all of those softwares are going to need customizing to you and your business, and they got to sound like you. But you might just thinking about a job and the whole flow of a job. Just about, I think for us, every step of that, there might be 5 steps. Like this, they put in the inquiry on a form. As soon as they do that, there's an automated email that goes back to say, we've got your form and we're going to be working on it, soon. So that's automation, kind of, if they get nothing after they fill in an email form, then they scratch their head. They think, oh, maybe I'll go to another company just in case that one didn't go through. So all of it is kind of just thinking about how we can lock in this job and get the job done. Then the next thing is okay, we've got the inquiry, we've got to do a quote now. So then my admin will start doing some research, pull up photos, just set the job up for the next person who is the quoter, which is me at the moment. And I start looking at it, and I might send off an email with some of those photos to say, are they accurate? Or I might think, well, this is complicated, I'm going to visit. Then there's the email to say, and all these emails are templates. So you don't have to keep typing every single time. I've got maybe 10 templates, and it puts in their name, it puts in the address or times, anything like that. It's all kind of automated that way.
Nice.
Yeah. And so then you actually send the quote, and then 2 days later, there's an automated email again to follow up if there hasn't been a response. So this is just like, that was set up in the beginning with the software. All these emails are getting sent out, but I'm not doing it. It's just the software. So that's the power of it. And I tell you what, like, yeah, you can refine it as time goes on, but it's so powerful to just constantly have those emails going out.
Yes.
So yeah, and then
particularly when you don't have to think about it. And if you've got if you got 12, 13 guys out there doing Windows, then you're going to have a lot of inbound inquiries coming your way. And, if you're only getting 1 or 2 a day, then sure, you might be able to get away with it for the time being and with typing those responses and saying, what are those back windows like? What's the access like? Do you want the fly screens included? All these types of questions. But if you're getting 20, 30 of them a day, well, then automation is the only answer. You can't just pay someone there to just smash out emails all day in, day out. So
yeah,
no, well done. I think that's all part of what you're doing, and with expert coaches, like trying to help people identify what are you spending too much time doing this, and how do we help automate you, right? So,
well, most tradies are not good typers. Like,
there's a reason why we're not accountants.
yeah, but like it takes time just typing, right? And and so you need templates. You type it once and then it's there, you know, and you just pick the right template. Even for the booking, you know, we do the booking and then there's an automated email 3 days before. And that kind of is, I call it the in preparation email. And it tells them, look, if we're doing the windows inside, could you please take the knickknacks off the window sills? If we're doing the gutters, can you have the green bin ready? Like it just kind of prepares them for all of this. And it just makes,
I like that.
even parking, like I just say, look, we like to park right in front of your driveway if we can, because we've got some heavy tools. And it just makes the job go so much smoother. You get to the job, there's a spot, the window's clear, and you might think,
chuck the garbage bin in.
And you might think, but that's putting them out, and but it's actually not. Like they kind of invested in this. They want the job done, and if they can help you, then they do. And okay, some people don't, so that's fine. We'll just work with it. And then the automation continues. You know, even when we send the invoice. The automatic thing about feedback. If I haven't paid in a week, then there's another automation. But that's kind of like, as soon as it's marked as paid, then that reminder email won't send. So
it's
smart enough to know that.
Nice. That's awesome. I have all that in place too. And even though when I first started, I wasn't that busy to really, I could do all this manually if I wanted to, but I know that adds to that whole discussion of professionalism and how you look to the customer when you're getting branded emails with your logo. It all looks legit, and these are all happening automatically. I can, I set it up where you got 24-hour reminder notice that, hey, Derek will be there tomorrow, and invoicing's automated, follow-ups, everything's. I love it, and even though that I could do it manually if I wanted to, but it's just, again, it's that whole level of professionalism, I suppose, trying to gear yourself up for growth in the right manner in the early days too, not waiting to that oh shit moment where you're like, oh, I've got too many things going on, So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's like, it looks professional. It takes the weight off your shoulders, and then like the next step, of course, is to expand out the team. And it kind of clears you up for that. So you can't really, like you said, with paper and pen, you could not run a business of 13 guys window cleaning. Like you absolutely need software. And then you kind of, what you're doing is filtering out all those things that software can do, giving that to software. And then there's a few things that humans need to do. For me, still, I think quoting kind of needs a human. That there might be some really templated type houses, but generally for us in Sydney, it's just such a big variety of different styles of houses and places.
Old, really new, everywhere in between.
Yeah, exactly. So that's fine. And then talking on the phone, like people want to talk. Some people need to talk, so admin staff's good for that.
100%. No, I love it. I like those 5 pillars of growth, I suppose we could call it. All great, and you're right, they do link into each other. So that's the kind of stuff that you bring to the table under Expert Coach, and I love it. And I've for those playing at home, that's free. Jono puts that stuff out there to help people, even if you're intrigued or just want to learn more about what you're doing. So appreciate what you do there, Jono, on that front, mate. Great. I noticed on your website you touch on AI. I'm just conscious on time, but just quickly, AI and the role that it plays in home service. What's your comments around, if you got any around that?
Well, I love it so far. Like it's in my software that I use, ServiceMate, it's kind of got a built-in AI. So that's great if you do need to write a custom email. I put in like almost every word is badly spelled because I'm just like as fast as I can, and it just somehow reads my mind. So you can hit improve or auto generate. It's brilliant to respond to any complaints. If like the other day there was a complaint that we left the green bin at the bottom of the driveway instead of the top. And I was kind of like frustrated because it was a really strenuous job for the guy.
Mm-mm.
And he went above and beyond in a lot of other parts of the job, took photos and reported back, spent a long time. And then she comes back and just complains about the bin. And she didn't say anything. And AI just has the most beautiful, succinct response that.
Yeah, a way of saying sorry in so many
Exactly.
words.
Yeah. Sorry, but we're not doing anything.
Yeah. Sorry, but we're never going to do it anyway.
Yeah. So that's great. And maybe, it's always changing, right? So I think it's something you got to keep your eye on. You don't want to be left behind. So I imagine in a year's time, it'll be doing even more, either built into the software or some other way to help us in doing our jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Excellent, mate. I got a couple quick ones more in relation to these are sort of selfish questions because it's to sort of help me, right? So, what do you think? What do you think some of the key mistakes people make when starting a service-based business, be it window cleaning, be it car detailing, or pressure washing, or anything like that? Particularly in the early days. I made a comment of I suffer from shiny object syndrome quite. My attention goes left, right, and center some days, and but generally speaking, with people that you've perhaps dealt with or you've seen along the way, what are some of the key KPIs people should be focusing on in those sort of that 1 to 3 year period?
Yeah. So your problem, that's kind of common, I guess, to just not know what's the most important thing to focus on, or perhaps you might know, but you don't like the other thing. And so I think that's one of the challenges when you're doing a lot of different roles, you've probably got favorites. So I know for me, I hated doing the books, like marking off, like I just hated doing that. And so I would always leave that to the very last thing. And sometimes I'd forget it and it'd delay. So when I delegated that, it was just like, I felt so happy. It was just incredible, the relief that it brings. But yeah, you've got to be disciplined when you've got things that you don't want to do. And when you're small, like I'm not saying to expand really quickly, like get all these people on board, VAs, and if you're not ready for it, you've got to incrementally grow.
100%.
But yeah, probably another area that people struggle with is being just too desperate. They might think, look, I need work. I really desperately need work. So I'm just going to quote low. And that way I'm more guaranteed to get the job, at least something. But it doesn't always work that way. And you often are better quoting higher, just presenting everything in the most professional way you can, and try and get 7 jobs out of 10. It's impossible to get 10 jobs out of 10 that you quote. That's not going to happen. So just aiming for 6, 7, or 8 jobs that you quote.
It's that classic price elasticity curve, isn't it? Where if you're getting 10 out of 10 jobs, then that should be a clear indication that you are too cheap.
Yeah.
You could be doing less jobs and making the same amount of money, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And kind of similar to that as well is when you might have time and you think, you know what, I just want to impress these clients so much, and you just keep going above and beyond on the job, but to the point where you're there way too long and you're actually frustrating them. Like being professional.
Yes.
Being professional on a job means that you're an expert at your job. An expert is fast. They're efficient. They kind of see the problem and they amend it before it happens. So just because you spend a long time on a job is not going to impress clients. So that's another thing. Quote in a really higher than you might anticipate to start with, and just stay there as long as it takes to get the job done well, and then get out of there.
Yep. Nope. I love it. Jono, I'm just conscious of your time, mate, and you've been more than gracious with it today. Closing comments for us and any others in the business. What's one piece of advice maybe that you've picked up or you've learned along the way after all these years in the industry?
Yeah, look, you ask me this on different days and I'll probably give you a different answer, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. I think you want to you want to work out what's your real forte, what you're best at, and just become really good at that. So if it's the actual skills on the tools, like if you're a great window cleaner, become an expert window cleaner. And then, okay, you can manage the business, but you've got to be an expert at something, I think. And that kind of gives you job satisfaction to do a good job. It helps you to become an authority to workers, to everyone else. And when the client calls you, if there's any kind of issue or complaint, you're the expert. So you kind of have authority over them on that whole topic. And so it really helps running the business when you are fully over it. So I think the problem is when you start out, you don't feel like that and you're still learning. Okay, that's true, but learn as quickly as you can, focus on the details, just really analyze what you're doing. And quickly, like after a year or 2 years, you can kind of call yourself an expert at window cleaning. And you can actually enjoy the job more that way too.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, it's something I've certainly noticed in the early days too. Is, I may not have necessarily understand the full ins and outs of it, but putting in the research and the time to really understand the lingo and what to talk to them about and the certain touch points. Because if you're not saying these things, I think about your automated emails and you're questioning about, have the bin ready, have this ready. Well, if the next company comes along and says, yeah, we'll be there at 6 and doesn't really ask any of these questions, that people think, oh, hang on, this guy knows a lot more about just the little 1%ers, and that goes a long way too for someone, right? So
yeah,
yes, no, I like that. I certainly like that. Jono, it's been a real pleasure, and pleasure to meet you, and thanks for sharing your story and your wisdom on the industry. Good luck with the new coaching side of what you're doing. I'll put all the links for Jono's stuff in the show notes, and hit him up on Instagram and follow him up on Facebook too. He's sharing a lot of good stuff out there for free. So, Jono, thanks again, mate. It's been awesome chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Derek.